I watched my husband destroy our perfect life for a 23-year-old nanny who smiled too much. Michael thought I didn't notice the way he looked at her, the late nights he suddenly had to work, the expensive gifts that weren't for me. I'm Sarah, and I gave him 12 years of loyalty, a beautiful daughter, and a life most people only dream of in Chicago. But none of it was enough. He chose her over everything we built together, and what she did to him. Well, karma has a way of teaching the cruelest lessons. My name is Sarah, I'm 31 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had the perfect marriage. Michael and I built our life together from nothing in Chicago. When we met 14 years ago, he was a struggling entrepreneur with big dreams and empty pockets. I believed in him when no one else did. I worked 2 jobs while he built his tech company, ate ramen for dinner so he could afford office space, and celebrated every small victory like it was the lottery. Now, at 42, Michael runs one of the most successful software companies in the Midwest. We live in a beautiful home in Lincoln Park, drive luxury cars, and our 7-year-old daughter Emma attends the best private school in Chicago. On paper, we had everything. But something changed in my husband over the past year, something I couldn't quite put my finger on at first. He became distant, distracted. Our conversations lost their warmth and became transactional discussions about schedules and household management. I told myself it was just stress from work, that every marriage goes through phases. I tried everything to reconnect with him, planning date nights, buying new clothes, changing my hair. Nothing worked. Michael looked through me like I was invisible, like I was just part of the furniture in our expensive home. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had supported him through every failure, every setback, every late night when he doubted himself. I was his partner when partnership meant sacrifice, not celebration. But now that we had success, now that life was supposed to be easier, he seemed to resent everything about our life together. I just didn't know why yet. I should have seen it coming. The signs were all there, written in lipstick and perfume that wasn't mine. Her name was Ashley, and she walked into our lives with a bright smile and a resume that seemed almost too good to be true. 23 years old, studying early childhood education, excellent references. We needed someone to help with Emma after our previous nanny moved out of state, and Ashley seemed perfect for the job. I noticed Michael's interest in her immediately, though I tried to dismiss it as paranoia. The way his eyes followed her around the house, how he suddenly started coming home early from work claiming he wanted to spend more time with Emma. He'd never done that before. He started working from home more often, always finding reasons to be in whatever room Ashley was in. Ashley was everything I wasn't anymore, or at least everything Michael seemed to think I wasn't. Young, carefree, always laughing at his jokes like they were the funniest things she'd ever heard. She wore tight jeans and casual tops that showed just enough skin to make you notice. I watched my husband transform around her, becoming animated and energetic in ways he hadn't been with me in years. I tried talking to him about it one evening after Emma was asleep. I told him I felt like we were drifting apart, that I wanted us to reconnect. Michael barely looked up from his phone. "You're overthinking things, Sarah," he said dismissively. "I'm just tired. Work has been overwhelming." But it wasn't work that was overwhelming him. It was Ashley's youth, her attention, the way she made him feel like he was still the struggling entrepreneur with everything ahead of him instead of a 42-year-old man with responsibilities and a family. I went to bed alone that night while Michael stayed downstairs, supposedly working on his laptop. But I could hear Ashley's laughter echoing from the living room, and I knew exactly what kind of work he was really doing. I'm not proud of what I did next, but desperation makes you do things you never thought you would. I started paying attention, really paying attention. I noticed the new cologne Michael wore, the way he showered and changed clothes before Ashley arrived each morning. I saw the text messages he quickly hid when I walked into a room, the private calls he took in his office with the door locked. One afternoon, I came home early from a doctor's appointment. The house was quiet, too quiet. Emma was at a playdate, and I assumed Ashley had left for the day. But her car was still in the driveway. I heard voices coming from the garden, low and intimate. Through the kitchen window, I watched them sitting close together on the outdoor sofa, closer than any employer and employee should be. Michael was looking at her the way he used to look at me, with desire and fascination in his eyes. Ashley touched his arm, leaning into him, and my husband didn't pull away. He welcomed it. My heart shattered into 1,000 pieces right there in my own kitchen, surrounded by the life I had worked so hard to build. I should have confronted them right then. I should have walked outside and demanded answers. But I didn't. Instead, I quietly left the house and drove around Chicago for hours, crying in my car like a teenager with a broken heart. Because that's exactly what I was, a woman with a broken heart, watching her husband fall for someone else. When I finally came home that evening, Michael acted completely normal, asking about my day, kissing Emma goodnight, playing the role of devoted husband and father. But I saw through the performance now. Every smile was a lie, every "I love you" was a betrayal. My husband was having an affair with our nanny, and he didn't even have the decency to feel guilty about it. The next few weeks were torture. I watched Michael live a double life right in front of me, and I said nothing. Why? Because part of me hoped I was wrong, that I was being paranoid and jealous for no reason. But mostly, I said nothing because I was terrified of what would happen if I was right. Confronting the truth meant destroying our family, and I wasn't ready for that. Michael became bolder with his lies. He started having late meetings that lasted until midnight, business trips that seemed unnecessary, afternoons when he'd disappear for hours claiming he was at the gym. His phone was password protected now, something he'd never done before. He kept it with him constantly, even taking it into the bathroom. I hired a private investigator. I know how that sounds, like something from a movie, but I needed proof. I needed to know I wasn't losing my mind. 3 days later, the investigator sent me photos that confirmed my worst fears. Michael and Ashley at expensive restaurants downtown, checking into hotels in the suburbs, shopping together at jewelry stores I couldn't afford even with his salary. He was spending our money on her. Money I had helped him earn by sacrificing years of my own life and career. The gifts, the hotel rooms, the designer clothes she suddenly started wearing, all paid for by my husband with funds from the company we built together. But what hurt most wasn't the money or even the physical betrayal. It was seeing the happiness on his face in those photos. Michael looked alive with Ashley in ways he never looked with me anymore. She had stolen more than just my husband. She had stolen the version of him I fell in love with, the man who used to look at me like I was his entire world. I finally understood that our marriage was over. The only question was what I would do about it. I decided to confront Michael on a Thursday evening. Emma was at my mother's house for a sleepover, and Ashley had supposedly left for the day. I had all the evidence spread out on our dining room table: photos, bank statements showing transfers to accounts I didn't recognize, hotel receipts, credit card bills for jewelry I'd never received. Michael walked in around 8 o'clock, loosening his tie with that casual confidence he always had. He froze when he saw me sitting at the table, saw the photographs laid out like a crime scene investigation. "Sarah, I can explain," he started, but his voice lacked conviction. We both knew there was no explanation that would make this right. "How long?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. "How long have you been sleeping with our daughter's nanny?" He couldn't even look at me. "It just happened, Sarah. I didn't plan for this. Things between us haven't been good for a long time, and Ashley, she makes me feel alive again." I laughed, a bitter sound that didn't sound like me at all. "I made you feel alive when you had nothing, Michael. I believed in you when no one else did. I sacrificed everything so you could build your company, and this is how you repay me? By throwing away our family for a girl who's barely old enough to rent a car." "It's not like that," he said weakly. "You don't understand. You've changed, Sarah. You're always worried about the house, about Emma, about maintaining appearances. You're not the woman I married." His words cut deeper than any affair could. He was blaming me for his betrayal, making his choices my fault. I stood up, gathering the evidence with shaking hands. "You're right, Michael. I'm not the woman you married. I'm stronger now. And I'm done. I want you out of this house tonight." Michael moved in with Ashley within a week. He rented her a luxury apartment in downtown Chicago, continued showering her with expensive gifts, and talked about divorcing me so they could start their life together. I hired the best divorce attorney in Chicago and prepared for war. But I didn't have to fight alone for long. 2 months after Michael left, I received a phone call that changed everything. It was Michael, and he was crying. I'd never heard him cry before, not even when his mother died. "Sarah, I need to see you. Please. It's urgent." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop near our old house. The man who walked in looked nothing like the confident Michael who had left me for a younger woman. He looked destroyed, aged 10 years in 2 months, his eyes hollow and desperate. "She's gone," he said, his voice breaking. "Ashley's gone. And she took everything." I listened in stunned silence as Michael told me the whole story. Ashley hadn't been a naive young nanny. She'd been a con artist. She and her boyfriend Marcus had orchestrated the entire thing, targeting wealthy older men through nanny positions. The affair, the romance, the promises of a future together, all of it had been calculated manipulation. Ashley had convinced Michael to put properties in her name, to open joint accounts, to sign documents he barely read because he trusted her. She'd accessed his business accounts, transferred funds, forged his signature on loan applications. By the time Michael realized what was happening, Ashley and Marcus had disappeared with over $3 million. His company was hemorrhaging money, investors were pulling out, and creditors were circling. The Michael Walker empire was crumbling, and the man sitting across from me was broken in ways I'd never imagined possible. "I'm so sorry, Sarah," he whispered. "I destroyed everything." I sat across from Michael in that coffee shop, watching him fall apart, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, not even pity. Just emptiness where love used to live. He'd gotten exactly what he deserved, but seeing him broken didn't heal my own wounds. "What do you want from me, Michael?" I asked finally. "Forgiveness," he said, reaching for my hand across the table. I pulled away. "I know I don't deserve it, but Sarah, please. I made a terrible mistake. I was an idiot. I threw away everything that mattered for someone who never cared about me at all." "No," I said firmly. "You threw away everything that mattered because you chose to. Ashley didn't force you to betray me. She didn't make you lie to Emma. She didn't put a gun to your head and demand you destroy our family. You did that all by yourself because you were selfish and stupid and thought you deserved more than what we had." Michael's face crumpled. "I lost everything, Sarah. The company's bankrupt, I'm being sued by investors, the house is in foreclosure. I have nothing left." "That's not my problem anymore," I said, standing up. "You made your choices, now live with the consequences." "What about Emma?" he asked desperately. "She needs her father." That stopped me. Because he was right about one thing. Emma did need her father, or at least she needed the man he used to be before greed and vanity consumed him. "You can see Emma on weekends," I said finally. "Supervised visits until you get your life together. But Michael, understand this, we're done. The divorce is going forward. Whatever happens to you now, you face it alone." I walked out of that coffee shop with my head held high. Michael had lost everything chasing an illusion, but I still had what mattered most. My dignity, my daughter, and the strength I'd built surviving his betrayal. I would rebuild my life, but this time, I'd do it for myself. 2 years have passed since that day in the coffee shop. I'm 33 now, stronger and wiser than I ever thought I could be. Emma and I moved to a smaller house in Oak Park, nothing like the mansion we once had, but it's ours and it's filled with real happiness, not the performance of it. Michael sees Emma every other weekend. He's working a regular job now, trying to rebuild his life from the ground up. Sometimes I see glimpses of the man I once loved, the struggling entrepreneur with dreams and determination. But we'll never be together again. That bridge burned to ashes the day he chose Ashley over our family. I've started my own consulting business, something I'd always wanted to do but sacrificed for Michael's dreams. Emma is thriving in her new school, resilient and happy despite everything she witnessed. As for Ashley and Marcus, they were never caught. They're probably running the same con on some other unsuspecting man right now. But that's not my concern anymore. I learned the hardest lesson life can teach. You can give someone everything and still not be enough for them. But more importantly, I learned that I'm enough for myself. And that's all that really matters. This is my story of triumph. Do you think I handled it correctly? If you were in my shoes, What would you have done? Share your thoughts in the comments. I can't wait to hear your perspective. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to Memorable Stories and Overcoming, where we share inspiring stories of triumph and justice every single day.